Born in a town close to Venice, Mr. Cardin wants to honor his birthplace by designing and building the Palais Lumière, a futuristic, energy-efficient building standing 800 feet tall.
I looked at the topic, the picture, the opportunity, and then Mr. Pierre Cardin says, no, 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 feel the possibility by his design, that it can happen, that it is possible. On the 23rd of September, President Clinton invited some of us and the Secretary General to the Clinton Global Initiative. And Your Serene Highness, he did exactly what you have done here. The first day, he had fashion designers and architects helping us policymakers understand what we call designing for impact. And we learned from them that it's the same set of principles. If you want to design policy, you want to really affect change, you're going to do some of what they were just showing us. Put the objectives clear. Look at the processes, the targets and the technology, and the human resources. You're going to make it happen. So within 2 months, I have this privilege, since I have this tough job of trying to provide energy for everybody around the world, to listen to designers and architects again. Ladies and gentlemen, let me start my presentation by a quotation again today from the WWF, Wildlife Fund. 50% more resources than the Earth can support. Today we're living as if we had 1.5 planets. If we continue like this, by 2050, we will need 3 planets. Our pattern of consumption is unsustainable. Unquote, this is from the 2012 Living Planet report. I put it in the context for you that this is numbers from the McKinsey report last November on resource scarcity. Most of us are taking this serious. The European Union is taking it serious. I have seen that presented also by Commissioner Potočnik and others. But these are numbers, one of them I mentioned yesterday. This is reality. You can't stop it. 3 billion more people moving into the middle class. I hope some of them are from Africa. I hope some of them, all of us Sierra Leoneans, will also move into the middle class. We're just 6 million, that we can be very rich. But this means, as I said yesterday, demand for more televisions, more cars, more buildings. They have to live like you. You can't stop them. They have to live like you. That's the aspiration. We in the UN promised countries that if you democratize, you liberalize your economies, the guarantee is a good life, good living. And what is a good living? We looked at the Western world. And these 3 billion people are hoping that will happen for them. But if we continue to consume as we do today, if they do the same we have done, we need many more planets, as WWF and others have told us. But
awareness and spur action on climate change and energy efficiency.
Look at what has happened to food prices in the last decade. You may have seen many of these articles already. I don't need to repeat them this year. What has happened to food prices? The Food and Agriculture Organization already projects, and when the heads of states met in L'Aquila, they already talked about this. We need to increase food production by 50% by 2030. We need to increase it by 70% by 2050. How are we going to do that? But also the composition of diets will change. All of that we have to do in the context of climate. We still have 7 billion people on this planet, to be 8 billion soon. And then 9 billion by 2050, maybe some of us might still be around, I don't know. But the idea is, the issue is, can growth be inclusive? Can we have prosperity for all and still maintain this planet? This is real. We need to give people hope. We need to show them possibilities. We need a picture of the opportunities, but opportunities that are for all. So I cannot tell you about energy, so I changed my presentation this morning. You had the specifics last night at the dinner about some of the areas. We want to work with Johnson Control. The International Copper Association has backed me along because all of those televisions and refrigerators, they need copper in it. So they've been backing me. And oil companies, Statoil and others, Duke Energy, ESCOM, to see how we make this a reality. That in fact people can have access to energy. That in fact they can use energy different and will lower those emissions. So we live in prosperity, all of us. All of God's children will have prosperity. This is just to say, I brought in your discussion to make it maybe a little bit more exciting under the tent, that this is not just about energy, it's not just about you and me. It is about 9 billion people by 2050. Thank you very much.
So I would like to welcome Jean, Peter, and the panelists up here on the stage.
Thank you very much, Richard. Thank you to our hosts, and thank you all for your time. And listening. What we'll achieve on this panel is in two sections, hopefully prove the business case for energy efficiency. That what we have today, the room I believe, are a group of visionary leaders. It seems to me that energy efficiency is collected together, a group of individuals.
Born in a town close to Venice, Mr. Cardin wants to honor his birthplace by designing and building the Palais Lumière, a futuristic, energy-efficient building standing 800 feet tall.
A better and safer place. Responding to societal trends, responding to the exploding demand for affordable healthcare in the first place. Secondly, the enormous rising demand also for energy efficiency solutions and the strong desire for personal health and well-being. Consumes 1/5 of all electricity cost in the world. And that would mean automatically that if the world would switch over to LED lighting, that we could save 600 power plants, hundreds of billions of cost and equivalent tons of CO2. LED lighting is for you something which is most usual, similar to seeing in the dark. But lighting has a much more wider context because it creates ambience, it adds to safety and comfort, security feeling.
Simultaneous production by biomass boilers of high-pressure hot water and hot water supplying the manufacturing site's various heat circuits. Thanks to the reduction in energy consumption, the use of biomass boilers and electricity generated 100% from renewable energies, 135,000 metric tons of CO2 per year will not be released into the atmosphere.
One issue that wasn't touched on this morning in terms of the macro issues, which is aging of population. We have seen in the West, in particular in the OECD, the rise of those pension schemes because of the model to finance pensions. And it means that there's a lot of money available to institutional investors. Simply for the EU, the IGCC represents 7.5 trillion of euros under investment. And we have very good relationship as well with equivalent organizations in.
And to illustrate this apparent paradox, I would like actually to take a personal case. I live in the Queens in New York, in a very old and energy efficient houses. And I pay a little fortune every winter for my heating bill. And if I were to simply change my boiler, move to double glass windows, and insulate my roof, I could cut my bill by 40%. And I'm doing nothing. And the fact that I'm doing nothing is actually pretty rational. The reason is because it's not my house. I'm the tenant. I'm not the owner. And so, if I were to invest in something that has a payback period of 5, 7 to 10 years, and I leave after 1 year, I would be basically saddled with a major loss. But let's imagine that I'm not the tenant, I'm not the house, I'm the owner, I'm the landlord. And so, I decide to invest in an energy efficient building.
This is the first time that we will be sharing Innovation Awards. This is a program that the Executive Council thought would be a good addition to the forum. After we had gone through 2 years, we thought it would be really, really nice to recognize those who have made significant contributions in energy efficiency. It could be through communications, could be through business models, could be through technology, could be through projects. We identified 6 categories for the Guardian. I'd like to ask Fiona to please come to the stage. Couple words. Fiona was twice winner of the Foreign Press Association Award for Best Environmental Story and named Environment Journalist of the Year at the British Environment and Media Awards in 2007. She is a committed environmentalist and writes on all issues from climate change to agriculture. Prior to The Guardian, Fiona worked for the Financial Times. It's with great pleasure that we recognize Fiona, bringing her to the stage to receive the first ever Energy Efficiency Innovator Award, and we've asked her to spend just a couple minutes telling us about her work. So congratulations, Fiona.
Just very briefly, I just wanted to let you know how difficult it is to write about energy efficiency. And it's very difficult because if you speak to an editor, you say, oh, that's a really great story about energy efficiency, they'll kind of look at you as if you're a bit nutty. Because how can there be a good story about energy efficiency? The problem with it is that energy efficiency is sort of not surprising. It doesn't seem like a story to me. This is what I am actually, and I am an energy efficiency expert. And when we started this project at IEA, working on what's going on from policy perspective in IEA and G20 countries.
Work they have done with the Berlin Energy Agency to pioneer a new model to drive energy efficiency in buildings across the whole of the city. Michael.
Don't be afraid, no speech. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, many thanks for the invitation. About 2 weeks ago, I had no idea to be here today, and I can say it's very, very pleasant surprise. On behalf of the Senate of Berlin and the Berlin Energy Agency, it is a great honor for me to obtain the Energy Efficiency Innovator Award today. The award in the category Business Model is dedicated to the Berlin Energy Saving Partnership. Please let me explain in a few words, in very few words, the idea of this model and how it is implemented in practice. The basic idea is quite simple, and as very often, simple ideas are the best and can lead us to success. The model was designed in the middle of the 90s in cooperation between the Senate and the Berlin Energy Agency.
Projects, but there are plenty of projects, which seems to me, someone who's not an expert, very confusing, but on the other hand actually seems a wonderful real opportunity, because there are a lot of people who realise there are a lot of things that can be done. And we've heard time and time again about the fantastic returns on investment that there are from investing in energy efficiency, perhaps in some companies more than in their own core business. So what are we missing? And I'm just going to throw out 2 or 3 ideas. I think one theme that's come up over and over again is around co-benefits. Is about, if you just think about a narrow definition of energy efficiency, you perhaps don't get the same traction, the same excitement, the same buy-in, and therefore the same amount of financing as you do as if you think of it in an integrated fashion. And that's thinking about what are the social benefits, the economic benefits, as well as the financial benefits for the project itself. One of the things I was talking to a couple of people tonight and this morning about was about on the financing side. I've been offered as an individual for my pension fund to invest in wind venture capital trusts, to invest in solar indices, to invest in all sorts of newfangled, exotic sounding clean energy and clean technology projects. But no one's ever come to me saying, here's an energy efficiency fund you could put some of your pension into. Here's something you can invest in. And yet I've been told today by all of you, and I've heard it time and time again, these produce solid, reliable, long-term returns on investment.